You ever have one of those days, you're busy from the second you log on to the second you log off, but at the end of it, you feel like you got absolutely nothing done? Well, that feeling has a name. It's called cognitive drag. And honestly, it's a massive problem in our always on work culture. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into why that happens and, more importantly, what we can do to fix it. Let's get right into it. So here's our game plan. First, we'll size up the problem, what we're calling the modern brain drain. Then we're going to figure out the root cause, and we'll use a pretty simple metaphor for it. We're all running on the wrong operating system. After that, we'll talk about the reboot process, which is built on 3 core pillars. And finally, we'll look at the incredible performance payoff this all leads to. So just how bad is this problem really? I mean, it's one thing to feel overwhelmed, but when you look at the actual data on what knowledge workers are up against every day, well, it's pretty staggering. Let's start with a number from Gallup that might hit a little too close to home. 76%. This is the percentage of employees who say they feel burned out at work at least some of the time. 76%. That is more than 3 out of every 4 people. And we're not just talking about being tired. This is a chronic state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion that's somehow become the new normal. Yeah, if you're nodding along right now, I just want you to know you are so not alone. This isn't some kind of personal failure. It's a systemic issue that's hitting basically every industry out there. And the daily costs are just huge. We're talking about the average knowledge worker losing over 2 hours of productivity every single day to this cognitive drag. The constant digital overload from emails, Slacks, and notifications is just crushing our ability to do deep, focused work. And hey, if you're working remotely, you get to add on the special challenges of Zoom fatigue, isolation, and basically zero boundaries between work and life. And get this statistic is it's mind-blowing. Every single time a notification pops up, or a colleague taps you on the shoulder, it takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to fully get back to what you were doing. Just think about how many times that happens in a typical day. The cost of those tiny little interruptions is absolutely astronomical. So if pretty much everyone is struggling with this, maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't us. Maybe it's time we took a hard look at this system we're all trying to work in. And this right here, this is the core idea. Think of your brain as the hardware. It's unbelievably powerful. The problem is the software we're trying to run on it, our habits, our workflows, the whole company culture. We're basically trying to run today's super complex apps on like Windows 95. Of course it's going to lag. Of course it's going to crash. So if our mental operating system is the problem, then it's time for an upgrade. But this isn't about gritting your teeth and trying harder. Nope. This is about installing a completely new approach to how we think about performance and well-being. We've all sat through those training sessions, right? You get a nice little burst of inspiration, and then a week later, you're right back to your old habits. The new way isn't about passively listening to a lecture. It's about an active, hands-on experience that's designed to create real, long-term change in your behavior. I mean, here's the difference in a nutshell. Traditional training gives you information. It tells you what to do. But a true behavior change experience, that gives you a system. It shows you how to do it. We're basically trading that temporary spike of motivation for new habits that create lasting, compounding results over time. So, what does this new mental operating system actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a whole integrated system that's built on 3 core pillars, and they all support each other. These are the big 3: brain health, cognitive performance, and emotional and mental health. You gotta think of them like a 3-legged stool. If you take one away, the whole thing topples over. Your physical brain health is the foundation for your ability to focus, and your emotional health really determines the quality of that focus. Let's break each one down. First up, we've got brain health. This is the biological bedrock. You simply cannot have a high-performing mind inside a poorly maintained brain. It's impossible. This is all about getting the fundamentals right: your sleep, nutrition, movement, and how you manage stress. And that statistic on sleep says it all. A single night of bad sleep can tank your performance by 30%. That's basically like showing up to work drunk. Okay, so once that foundation is solid, we can build on it with cognitive performance. This is where we stop thinking of focus as something you either have or you don't, and start treating it like a skill you can actually train, like a muscle. It's all about building systems to protect your attention and carve out real time for deep work. I mean, right now, the average tech worker only gets about 90 minutes of true focus a day. What could you accomplish if you could just double that? And the final pillar, the one that really ties it all together, is emotional and mental health. This is what gives you clarity and poise when you're under pressure. Look, the goal isn't to avoid stress. That's just not realistic. The goal is to build the resilience to navigate it effectively so you can think clearly and make good decisions when it really, truly matters. Okay, this all sounds really good in theory, but I know what you're thinking. What about the bottom line? Let's get into the hard, measurable return on investment that you get from having a sharper, more focused team. And let's be super clear about this. This is not a soft benefit or some fluffy perk. Investing in your team's cognitive well-being is a hard-nosed business strategy that delivers a return on investment every single day. And the data from Gallup is just undeniable. Employees with high well-being are 81% less likely to leave their jobs. Think about the cost of turnover. And on top of that, their organizations see a 20% boost in productivity. The impact on both retention and output is absolutely massive. And this is wild. The World Health Organization estimates that for every single dollar a company invests in mental health support, they see a $4 return, a 4-to-1 ROI. You just can't argue with numbers like that. And what about that deep work we were talking about? What happens when you actually train people how to do it? The research shows their output can increase by as much as 50%. That's a direct lever you can pull for more innovation, better problem solving, and just higher value results all around. This quote just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? When you start to factor in the real costs of turnover, of lost productivity, of mistakes made by exhausted people, you quickly realize that the cost of doing nothing is so much higher than the cost of being proactive. So I'll leave you with this one last question. Forget all the big company-wide numbers for just a second. Let's make it personal. What would 20% more cognitive capacity look like for you, for your team? What could you actually accomplish with more focus, more clarity, and more energy? The potential is truly transformative. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.